Welcome to Unsigned 518's Halloween episode.
Sorry, had something in my throat. Welcome to Unsigned 518's Halloween episode. The way I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to release this in two parts just because I have so much content. I've been working on this episode on and off for several weeks, and rather than release like possibly like 2.5 hour or more episode, I'm going to break it up into two parts, make it a little easier to digest. I will release them both at the exact same time so that if you listen to this, which is obviously part one, and you want to roll on to part two, you can do so immediately. And if you want to move on with your spooky Halloween day without me, fine. So on this episode, I've got a few segments. I'm going to do a sit-down conversation with Andy Iorio. He's a classical pianist, a good friend of mine, and knows a lot about music theory and horror movies. So we're going to talk about movies and music and kind of how they go together. I'm also going to sit down with Kate and Mike of the band Lucid Street. Kate is also a horror movie fan, and we talk about a little bit about Terrifier and Art the Clown and some horror movies and music, and then we get into Lucid Street's music, and they're actually releasing a single which comes out this weekend, but you can hear it here on this episode for the very first time ever, and that will be after the conversation with Kate and Mike. Also, I'm just gonna play some music. I've got some spooky music. I asked on Instagram for people to send me any spooky 518 music they know of or that they've made or been a part of, and I'm just gonna pop some songs in here and there from 518 artists with a Halloween theme, and then we're gonna get on with it. So I guess without further ado, let's get started with Unsigned 518's Halloween episode 2024. I'm not sure if you can tell, but this is like my favorite time of the year. But let's do it.
It's motherfucking Andy, just hanging around with some local motherfuckers in the dazzle den. If you're in a local band and you're passing through town, stop by after midnight when the creepies come out. You're at the dazzle den with those creepy motherfuckers. You're at the dazzle den with those creepy motherfuckers. You're at the dazzle den with those creepy motherfuckers. You're at the dazzle den with those creepy movie stars.
So, and what you just heard right there was Forensic Polaroids featuring Nick Kosser of Gozer with the song called The Dazzle Den, which is, written about the place where I'm currently standing right now. I'm actually standing directly underneath the orange neon sign that says Dazzle Den. It's my garage, my hangout spot, my studio, our practice space. But so I've been using that kind of on and off as a theme song to the Weekend Spotlight. I've got the Simple Machine penned theme song for Unsigned 518, and I was using that for the Weekend Spotlight as well. And then, Forensic Polaroids, Lonnie, who I'm in a band with, short radio band, wrote that song for me, and I've been peppering that in. But just the other day, something interesting happened, and this episode was already well on its way when I got it, but I had reached out to Girth Control, who, as many know, are like my favorite ska punk band, and I dig like every song they've ever written. And I said to them, because they had put out an album that was all really short songs, like 20-30 second songs, and I was like, hey, at some point, like, if you get time, do you think you'd be able to write a jingle or a theme song for the Weekend Spotlight? And, they were like, yeah, absolutely. And then, kind of not forgot about it, but, went about our ways, like with a little time passing. And then just yesterday, I got an email like, hey, the jingle is done and here it is. And it's fucking amazing. So going forward, it is going to be the Weekend Spotlight theme song. But right now, just because I literally couldn't wait till next week, because this is this episode is taking place of the Weekend Spotlight today. But anyway, I couldn't wait. So without further ado, let's check out Girth Control's new theme song for the Weekend Spotlight.
Weekend Spotlight, the weekend, alright. The Weekend Spotlight, the weekend, alright.
Andy Scullin is such a good dude, the kind of guy that it's easy to talk to. He's got some cool stuff he'd like to share with you.
Yeah, you.
It's the weekend.
You know what you should do. It's the Weekend Spotlight, the weekend, alright. The Weekend Spotlight, Unsigned 518.
Girth Control with the Weekend Spotlight theme song. I love it. It's awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And if you're not familiar with Girth Control, go check them out. Mark, Bob, and Jay, super nice guys, great songwriters, really fun to hang out with, and very fun to see live and to listen to. So, Girth Control. Thank you. And I should note, normally the underscore music that I'm playing while I'm talking is Formative Years by Ab the Autocrat, which has kind of become my official Unsigned 518, not theme song, but official underscore music by Ab the Autocrat. And I just wanted to note that the spooky music that you're hearing now, kind of like that X-Files vibe, is also Ab the Autocrat. So the statement holds true that my underscore music is all still by Ab the Autocrat. And again, go check him out on Spotify. And his collaborations with some of the hip-hop artists in the area are really, really fucking top-notch. So go check out Ab the Autocrat. And right now we're going to hear a song from the Jagaloons. This one is called Wolfman's Got Nards. And if you don't get that reference, I won't leave you hanging. I'll let you know. It is a reference to the classic Monster Squad, where they tell him just, kick the Wolfman in the nards. But then they're like, Wolfman doesn't have nards. Spoiler alert. Wolfman's got nards. It's the Jagaloons on Unsigned 518's Halloween special. Wolfman's Got Nards, the Jagaloons here on Unsigned 518's Halloween special. And right now, what we're going to do is check in on my conversation with Andy Iorio. Andy and I go back a long way. We've known each other for years. He played the piano at my wedding, along with Dave Tayo, who was playing the classical guitar when we were doing the walking down the aisle. So he's a personal friend. I've known him for a long time. He's also a brilliant musician. He's a classical pianist. He's got an impressive catalog. He also knows music very well and is into horror movies and is into horror music and has kind of been absorbing these things his whole entire life. So it's an unplanned conversation. Really, he just came over and we sat down and we're like, we'll figure something out. We'll hit record, and this is the results of that. So we'll be right back with my conversation with Andy Iorio. All right, welcome back. I am here with Andy Iorio. How's it going, man?
Hey, man. It's good to be back.
Yeah, and we talked about doing this. I mean, I think it was like midsummer at some point.
It was, yeah. When I came in originally, and because we both had a love for horror movies, so I was like, we got to do a thing. Like, we got to talk about something.
Yeah, and I was like, I think maybe you were like, well, since like obviously music theory,
sure,
and horror movies and horror music. We'll talk that angle. And then if, whatever it devolves into.
Whatever happens, man. It's,
But I guess first and foremost, we were saying before we got going, as far as iconic themes go.
Absolutely,
like John Carpenter's Halloween.
Oh, one of my faves for sure.
So, and you have you said a deep relationship with it. You used to listen to the soundtrack when you were going to sleep.
Well, yeah. Well, sure. I mean, I wouldn't actually listen to horror music when I went to sleep because that would be kind of interesting. But when I was a kid, I used to watch the Halloween movie. Like, I just put on the original Halloween movie every Halloween night. Now, I mean, obviously, I'd get back home like, early, late, whatever. So I sometimes, mostly 90% of the time, fall asleep, and the movie would still be on. And I had a surround sound system in my bedroom at the time, so like all the loud jump and scares and like noises and synth sounds that he did, I'd literally just wake up in the middle of like a something totally random, or like the sound, and it was like just jolt you out of sleep, and it just like I have those fond memories when I was a kid doing that. But that was just a lot of fun. But yeah, the thing with John Carpenter is just like that original. I mean, if you know about that movie, like he just didn't. Originally, they pitched it and there was no music in it.
Yeah.
So when they guys are like, it's just not scary. It's just like a slasher film. Like it's like it needs something else. And he just being the director, didn't they didn't have a budget for a composer.
But he also had a very strong musical background.
Exactly.
It's like he came from a musical family.
Very true. So the fact that he was like, okay, so he went and just wrote this music, just like whatever, like one of the first things he ever did, and it's just like today, it's just one of the like just a theme that everybody knows what that is. It's just really cool that he was able to create something like that still stands.
And the timing on is it 5/4?
I think so. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It depends how you count it. If I had a keyboard, I'd be able to like.
Well, whatever the timing, because I heard on like some podcast that he was
like
saying
10. You count it in 10, kind of, because it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how like I always thought about it. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Just like the whole chromatic thing. I mean, chromatic microtones. Minor seconds, like in Psycho.
See, that's why you're here, dude.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like those are the things that like just create that tension. Tritones, even like that, like the sharp 4. That's kind of just like those are things that like a lot of composers utilize along with the atmospheric sounds. But going back to even Bernard Herrmann, which was like doing the original Hitchcock stuff. I mean, those themes were just like you hear 2 notes like Psycho up together, like shit's gonna happen.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
right. Very minimalist.
Yeah, it's not like, this is nice. It's like, the music created so much of the tension.
And is that something that's like almost like mathematically ingrained in music? That, because I know, like I was talking to Kate from Lucid Street earlier about like, that low droning note that'll like create dread, even if it's something that you can't really hear.
Right. Oh, that's a frequency. There's like I forgot what the frequency was, but yes, there's actually something that actually makes people uneasy.
Yeah.
And they throw that into a lot of like movies like that, like
under the score. Kind of, yeah.
And that's
now,
great.
Is that something that like, excuse me, with the notes together, and you were talking about like the triads and whatever? Is that something that like kind of works like that almost no matter how you play it, or is it just like
It's kind of, I don't know, if you kind of put stuff together, like I used to, when I was a kid, I used to, I don't remember if I told you that before, but I used to like mute these movies because I was always into film music. So I would mute movies that I didn't see and just watch the images, and I'd try to come up with music on my little synthesizer, sat in front of the keyboard, put the keyboard in front of the TV, and I'd sit there and try to like score what was going on, not ever hearing what was there before, and just by looking at the moving images, because that's really what like the whole score thing was about. And I think when you ever do score something, it's really just about like, is silence, better than what you're doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the actors do a lot on their own, but like, are you enhancing the scene? Are you doing too much with it? And when I studied that in college, like it was just like, like that's really what it all came down to. Like, is nothing or silence, better than what I'm doing? And that's where you kind of pick and choose your things. I mean, obviously there's scare points and there's parts where you're going to hit things and it's just like
stingers.
Tension. Yeah, sure, exactly. Just to enhance stuff. But like, I mean, when you're thinking about like theme wise, that's like one of the trickiest things, because I mean, when I started doing that kind of stuff, it was just more difficult to think about like, how is this really going to be, this musical theme going to capture the essence of this character? And I used to try to think about it as characters and then have like an overall arc at the end, because you want to start somewhere and end somewhere, and then kind of have like this little stuff in the middle. But I don't think that answered your question, but I did tell you that anyway.
No, I forgot the question, but that was fantastic.
Something about the tritones and the whatever, but I was like
what's like the DSE array? Like you got to know the DSE array, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like that's something that like when it's used,
right,
it's used to signify. And what notes are those? That's like a dun dun dun.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know exactly what the notes are, but I know what you're talking about. Or the shepherd scale that like always sounds like you're descending. If you ever listen to it like this,
it might be that. I know.
Well, there's that too, though. That has like and it just has this like. If you listen to it, like if you just Google it or it's on Wikipedia, you can like listen to it. But it's the same repetitive notes over and over again. But it constantly sounds like it keeps going down. Like your ear.
Then that could be exactly.
And you're always, it's like no matter
about.
what, it's always falling, and you're like, where is this going?
Right, and it like apparently it always like signifies like doom and death.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like
but that's what I say, the minor seconds and like those the tritone, which is like an augmented fourth, which is also the theme in they use in The Simpsons. That, like the Simpsons. It's like this like.
Dun, dun,
it's, yeah,
dun.
dun, 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 yeah, it's like that, or like the Tales from the Crypt theme. Had like a lot of that. And I mean
that was Danny Elfman too, wasn't it?
That was Danny Elfman, yeah, absolutely.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yep, which was very fun. And I saw something that they're bringing that back for like 10 episodes, but I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, probably.
I haven't seen anything on John Cassier's site or anything that would say like.
Did you see Creep Show?
Of course, yeah. I didn't watch the new one yet. That's what we were just talking about on the way, because we watched the old ones and we're like, should we check out the new ones? Because so many reboots suck.
Really
but
good.
if you saw it, I mean, I'll check it out. Is it? Like,
yeah, I mean, they're not like every single one of them isn't fantastic,
right?
But
it's worth checking out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
well then I would definitely will.
Yeah, it was very good. I think.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nicotero was involved in it.
Cool. Well,
Greg Nicotero, like,
right on.
From OG stuff. But anyway, so getting back to like music,
we digress.
We do digress like a lot. So we've got the whatever timing it was, like 7, 8, or 9, 10, or whatever.
Well, I always just counted it in 10. Whenever I played it, I would just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, and that's just how I like.
But he got that from his father teaching him that rhythm. So like it's just the clap.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And so he like put it together in like 2 fucking seconds.
I know, and it's like, and then you bring it back, and it's like all of a sudden there's like this, like, okay, now we'll release the movie, like,
right?
It's like it's crazy,
and it made it, and there's been, obviously, we'll move like past Halloween, like into like my favorite franchise, Friday the 13th, which was clearly was taken from, like Carpenter started the horror. Not the horror genre, but like,
right, no, I know
kick-started it.
Sure.
And, Sean Cunningham was riding on that and kind of ripping. He was fucking ripping it off. Like, he was ripping it off.
Right.
And
but it works, though. I mean, like, people keep coming to see it. I mean, horror is still, I think it's still the number one. Like,
yeah.
I mean, people
and
still
that,
come to see horror
I think,
movies.
works because of Manfredini.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
If you watch that movie, even if you watch that movie with like a Carpenter-esque score, if you like did Friday the 13th with an emulated, if they kind of ripped off that sound of it, I don't think it would have worked as well. Like,
probably not. No, I agree. Absolutely.
The score makes that whole thing, and that's why and Katie thinks I'm crazy because like I will put on Friday the 13th Part 1 soundtrack on vinyl, and like on a Sunday morning, put on the
Perfect
vinyl
Sunday
and just
morning,
sit there and like, smoke
Chill,
a bowl,
relax.
drink some coffee, and she'll be
Right.
like, are you listening to a horror movie soundtrack to like relax?
Oh, I'd
Yeah.
say 20% of my score collection or more is probably horror movie
Nice.
scores for sure. I mean, I just love. I mean, the classic ones just all the way through, and I mean, it just makes. I mean, a great score will stand alone. It'll be great anyway. You don't even have to watch
Right.
it with the movie. But I mean, a lot of the time, the nostalgia purposes of listening to it, like you remember the scene, which is cool.
The cool thing about the soundtrack is at the end of spoilers throughout this whole fucking episode.
Spoilers.
I've said it in the beginning, but like in the end of Friday the 13th, with the reveal that Jason comes out of the water and grabs her or whatever, that stinger is in a random place.
Right.
Like it's not in beat. It doesn't make sense
Yeah, right,
in the way of the song because it's supposed to catch you off guard. And on the soundtrack, like it's not in a place where you would expect it,
know,
and
right,
it's
yeah.
literally like a jump scare
Right.
in the composition. Like because when
yeah.
you're listening to it, it catches you off guard. You're like,
Yeah.
"Fly Away, Tiny Sparrow," I believe is the. Also Manfredini,
Yep.
but it's the name of the composition. And,
Yep.
it's all it, and they did that on purpose. They
Mm-hmm.
were like, with the music, we're gonna assure the audience that the danger is gone. They're like, you see
Yeah,
the
it's all
cops
happy
on
and
the
everything.
on the shore,
Yeah.
and like the music, like doesn't lie. The music doesn't lie,
true.
and then you find out the music fucking lies, and then and that was like the most effective.
Yeah, it's cool. That's great. Especially, that makes it really. I mean, that just gives you the extra. I don't even know what you say. Just as you said, the jump scare. That's just like that's what it's about.
Yeah, and the music drove that scene, and without it,
Have you ever been
yeah.
able to see any of those movies without the music in them?
no.
So when I was in school, when I went to Berkeley, they had in the film scoring department, they had a bunch of movies that like didn't have the music. Like it was like their dailies or
Dialogue,
something.
but no music?
It was just like the whole acting, but no music. So it was like before they added it. So really, like such a different. Like I think it was the X-Files, one of the episodes of that, and I watched that, and we had to write music to it. That was like one of our assignments, and it was crazy to think like. It's so boring. Like some people probably don't pay attention to the music. I mean, I'm a dork, so I totally pay attention to the music in the
Same.
movies. I would just like, I'm like, oh, I'm all about the score. You can even ask my wife once in a while. Like, I'll be like, oh, that's such a great cue. Or like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. One of those in the movie theater. But it's like, without it, it's just so empty. But I think a normal, like, average person that wouldn't listen to that or tune into it would notice if it wasn't there.
Right.
But when it is there, it's just like, oh, it's just part of the movie experience. You know what I mean? So but I'm always just like, oh, that cue or oh, that cue. That's so cool what they're doing there. And the, I don't know, the Insidious movies. Did you watch those?
Yeah.
Love the Joseph Bishara did like really cool, that stringy rise. It was kind of like the Bernard Herrmann classic style. Yeah, like just really cool. And I was like, you don't hear scores like that because most of the time now, even it's all like sounds and synths and like different stuff. It's not as much of the orchestra anymore, but he kind of utilized that. And he's in a composer group, for the HMMAs that I'm a part of. And he's just like really cool. And I just told him, I was like, dude, I just loved the Insidious score. Like this is the first one. Like it just brought back like that amazing feeling of using the strings in the way that Herman did and everything. And he was like, oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I'm like, yeah, totally. Like I appreciated that. And just really cool because it's
That's
just like,
awesome.
that just kind of grabbed me that I was like, you don't hear scores like that as much anymore.
And then, and it's funny too how, obviously, scores for these movies were made for the movies. They were made to capture the tension. They were made to like drive the narrative. But then there's some instances, like The Exorcist,
Oh, yeah, of
where
course.
the theme has nothing to do
Right.
with
But
anything
I know, right?
spooky at
It's like source
all.
music almost,
Yeah.
though, right? Because it wasn't written for the movie.
It was already released.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was.
And they
It's,
used it.
Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield,
Yeah,
and
great.
it was a release.
Have you listened to that whole thing?
Oh, absolutely.
That's great. Did you listen to the whole
dude.
piece?
I worked at an easy listening station. My first radio job in 1992 was at an easy listening station. We played Mike Oldfield all the time, and we used to play Tubular Bells just like it was like. But
Right.
it was like, there's that spooky hit, Tubular Bells.
It's
it was
interesting
just
though.
like,
that there would be a lot of his
Yeah.
stuff was new agey, of course.
Oh,
too.
yeah, it's
Tubular
wicked
Bells
new agey.
2 and 3 that he did, and like did all
Totally.
those. But
Yeah.
So that was just, I mean, there is an eeriness to it though that like
A little-
totally
but
worked.
not really. Like unless like you.
Well, I know unless you've seen the extras,
Like-
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, or and now, even if you
Right.
haven't seen the extra, it's like in the lexicon. Like you know when you hear that, you're like, "Ooh, spooky!"
Right.
But like, and I wonder if he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, right.
Like, he's like, "That's a song like commemorating my lovely grandmother," and everybody
right.
thinks
I was
it's
20 years
fucking
old or
creepy.
something when he wrote that.
Right.
He's like this
Yeah.
masterpiece
Yeah.
thing that he does, like, and they're using it for this, and it's like they just associate it with that.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, I mean, it's
that's-
interesting how music takes shape like that, though. But
Yeah, 'cause
that's
that had
interesting because a
nothing to do
lot of a lot of movies, like use source music like that, or even The Shining used a bunch of source music, and like there wasn't even stuff like, I mean, Wendy Carlos did a bunch of the music, but there was also source music throughout,
and
it-
and that
Kubrick
like
did that a lot.
definitely used like The Shining definitely used that doom and dread
Oh, totally.
like
absolutely.
almost sounds like a tugboat dying at like quarter speed,
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
more
and-
tension, but
right?
I mean, it worked though. I mean, it totally
but
did.
like that's a little more in your face, I guess. Like not as subtle because
Right.
like that is like.
well, that's more like the atmosphere that they're trying to
Right,
create as well.
and
Like it's noise
you
and
can't
sounds
help
and
but
things.
be
Yeah,
like,
right.
God damn it, I'm uncomfortable
Right.
now. You
Yeah,
know what
no,
I mean?
exactly.
So like that, like really fits for that. Because I guess the music even progresses as the movie does, as far
Yeah,
as other than that opening shot.
Right.
That opening shot does, and I think that's the Dies Irae.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
that could be that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I haven't watched that movie again too.
Yeah. See,
Speaking
gotta
of which, I
watch-
got to watch all the movies I haven't watched yet this year.
I have. Is it up there in my costumes? No, it's somewhere. I have a officially licensed Jack Torrance red
Oh, nice.
corduroy
Sweet.
jacket. From
Was that what you
movies.
were wearing when I came in? No, that was your lumberjack.
No, that was just my lumberjack,
Yeah.
and I can't wear it with the orange because, like I said, I look like a fucking hunter.
I know, it's funny though. I was like, I like it. It works.
Yeah, it works except for when you're in Schuylerville in October.
Yeah.
People would be like, "Hey, did you get anything? What are you guys talking about? I drive an Impreza." Like, I've
Exactly.
never shot anything. So no offense to hunters,
Oh
but
no, none at all.
it's just not
Me
my,
either.
It's not my bag.
It's not my bag either.
I've never killed anything, and I'm pretty cool. Pretty cool with keeping that streak. And it's funny for
You just
someone
watch
who,
it, but
yeah,
you-
I was just gonna say for someone who enjoys
Yeah, right, just
seeing
watching. I've
so
never
many-
actually pulled the trigger, but
No, I just
or
like to
throw a
watch
knife or
people get it
Yeah.
in the worst ways.
Sure.
So, is there any other scores that we'd want to mention before we wrap up?
Let me see other scores. I mean, I was just saying to you earlier that like I haven't watched the whole 30 movies I wanted to do in October. It's like I was able to do that more when I was younger, but as an adult, it's a lot harder to
Who's
watch
got
a movie
time?
at night. I mean, I really wanted to. Every year, I'm like, oh man, 30 days. Like it's Halloween. It's like we literally watched like 5 movies in the whole month of October, and we watch a bunch of Unsolved Mysteries episodes, which are kind of scary.
You know what I've been on is Ghost Adventures.
I haven't actually watched them.
There's a channel, a free channel on Pluto TV or whatever,
nice.
and it's just fucking Ghost Adventures,
That's fun.
and it just runs.
Well, that kind of counts.
24 hours a day. Yeah,
But I mean, some of those murders that happen on Unsolved Mysteries and some of the UFO things, I mean, that counts as scary
dude,
shit, though.
Unsolved
I mean,
Mysteries. When I remember,
But
when
the
I
stack
was a kid,
episodes, too, though. I'm saying,
yeah,
like,
it's got to
when
be
he's
a
like,
stack episode.
maybe you. Unsolved
Yeah.
Mystery. I'm like,
And like
no, I
13-year-old me was like,
Yeah.
I can't do shit. I'm like, I can
was like,
barely
I don't
wake
wanna
up to
do
get to the
shit.
bus
Like,
on time.
I saw that car from Unsolved Mysteries. That's the same car. Like, I'm like, I was seeing it everywhere. And then the alien abduction ones, forget about it. I mean, that stuff scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen UFOs.
Yeah,
I've
and
seen
that theme,
multiple
let alone
UFOs.
Unsolved Mysteries theme, should be in the horror theme because that thing is creepy.
Which that's no, that was the X Files.
Oh,
Oh right,
And the new series, the one that
and
came
then
back,
Robert
though?
Stack, while
Yeah.
that part is going, he's like smoking like 17 cigarettes at a time.
And he's always in some dark park that has like a light with his trench coat. It's like, where do they film these?
With the it's all just
where
in
is
like
this?
the corner of
So
someone's
creepy in the
office
80s,
or
but
something.
whatever. But the new theme though,
I haven't heard of the new
Netflix,
thing.
they just re-released a series. So like, and there's some really good ones, and it's from all over the world too. The way they redid the theme, I can't remember the Storm. I can't remember the guy that did it. Strom, maybe. I don't remember the guy that redid the theme, but like he totally took the synth out and did it all on piano.
Oh wow!
And totally, I was just like, oh, this is so well done. And I can't think of his name right now, which really bothers me because I like usually can tell you who scored anything.
Right.
But that theme was so good, and just doing the piano run, going up and down, and then just doing the scale, I was like, it's so cool. And the drums are gone, so it's literally just kind of like some synthy background, a little bit of string, and then piano.
I love
it. It totally makes it modern. I was like, this is so good, like so good.
I love it.
But anyway, other themes, I don't know, Jaws. I mean,
yeah. Well, you know what? We could even talk about like, is Jaws a horror movie?
I mean, I always. When I saw it,
I'm not giving an opinion.
I know. I'm saying, like, when I saw it, I considered it to be a horror movie. I mean, I was like 7. My mother wouldn't let me watch it, and my dad at the time was like, I want to see Jaws, And my dad was like, oh yeah, well you'll learn, then you'll watch Jaws. Like he would be like, I don't care, watch it, and then you'll be scared for the rest of your life or whatever. My mom was like, oh no, shield him from this. So one day, it's on HBO, whatever. I was like 7 or 8. My dad's like, my mom's in bed. I was in bed. He comes upstairs, he's like, hey, Jaws is on TV. I'm like. He's like, don't tell your mother, Be all I was like, okay. So I get up and go downstairs and watch it, right? And it's like, scared the shit out of me. This that opening scene though, when she's like being dragged. How is that not like a horror movie? I mean, like maybe because of the year and how old I was when I saw it, I consider.
No,
it that,
I mean, I'm gonna agree with you. I've heard on 2 separate podcasts now, and like I've seen in Reddit discussions, like whether or not Jaws is considered a suspense or thriller,
right?
Or a monster movie, some people call it.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
Or a horror movie.
Well, what do you think?
I think it's a horror movie.
I think it is.
Like, I think it's horror. Like, I think if a horror movie to me, like, if you can, I mean, I guess it works for thriller as well, but like, put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, sure, like that's scary
is
shit,
that a horror
right?
movie? Yes.
I was afraid of that bathtub. I mean, I didn't want to be in any water.
We had a swimming pool, and it was, not like it was an in-ground pool with like lights and like you could see you see everything. It's not like this like.
Well, it'd been better if it was dark.
And it was in the middle of Vermont, and I basically would not go in that water after dark when I was a little kid because I'm like, that might be a shark. Might be a shark.
Lakes. I thought lakes. I was like, oh, there's a shark in the lake, even though there's salt water. No, there's sharks in the lake.
Yeah, so
I can't see the bottom.
It's a horror movie.
Jaws is going to get me.
And the music, without question, saved that movie because
course.
like it was famously plagued with mechanical issues where the shark was a piece of shit, and
which you don't really see until the Blu-ray comes out because then like in HD you're like, wow, that's a really cheesy shark,
and it didn't work like 70% of the time because like it worked in theory, and then they'd get it in the water and it's like all these gears and shit, and then they're like, there's algae in the gears, we can't get the so they used the music,
right.
And like the
and
point of view, view camera,
yeah.
And those 2 notes. Like,
I know,
that's how you got the tension.
That's great though. But I'm saying, like on my 19-inch TV though in my bedroom, I couldn't see all the cheesy shit. It was scary.
Yeah,
so
it's scary. And that music does not lie.
No, it does not.
Like when you hear that music, that is the shark.
And it speeds up and it just go like it's just, what's up.
Yeah.
But that's what's so great about John Williams. I mean, like he's just such a versatile composer. I mean, so many themes that are just recognized. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he's one of the best composers ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think we've talked about, and I don't want to like give promotions to other podcasts, and I'm saying it like that, not that I can't remember the name of the show.
Okay.
No, I can't remember the name of the show. But anyway, there was a podcast that was went into like soundtrack, movie soundtracks, and like broke down like each movie in like hours long.
Yeah,
and
I
would
should have
like
done that.
I
don't know why I didn't think of that. I would have loved to have done that.
I mean, do it.
I know, right? Well, I mean, I could, but it's like it's already been done. It's like
but who fucking cares, man? Like, who cares?
I know,
like,
but it's like somebody else thought of that.
Everything has been done.
Know,
you think this is like I didn't invent a podcast, yet here we are.
But you're an original, right?
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not fucking original at anything.
All right, you're a fraud.
Yeah, I'm a fraud, 100%.
I'm riding the coattails.
Yeah, no, you should. Like,
it's like Friday the 13th, based off of Halloween. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, it's
exactly.
Continuing it.
I remember like marketing 101, like day one. The teacher comes in and basically says like, all right, rule number 1 of marketing: if it's not your idea, steal it.
You're right.
And they were like, that's how it works.
Right, sure.
And she was like, that's how. When McDonald's does something, within a week or 2, Burger King is doing the exact same thing. Like, that's how it works. So, like, you should do it, but do it better.
Maybe.
And he just did all movies.
Right, sure.
You could maybe put a focus on horror movies.
Yeah, or just did different different months, or different episodes for different genres. And,
Sure.
But then I would sit there and probably play along with some of them, though. Because
He does as well.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, he has a piano right
Okay,
there.
all right, well, see?
And like when he explains stuff, he goes ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding.
I was like, all right, well, I'm going to play better pieces then. All right, that's what it is.
There you go.
I have to play like the flight theme from E.T. or something that's like really complicated.
And again, I didn't say the name of that other guy's podcast, so
He doesn't even exist to me.
he's dead to me now.
Never heard of him.
I don't even know.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here and get back to the spooky stuff. So, Andy, thank you so much for coming over and talking horror movies and music and just being a friend, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andy. We have a great name.
Yeah, totally. We do have a great name. It's fantastic. All right, so that is Andy Iorio, and you can find him on Spotify, and I will link to your music on the show page.
Awesome.
All right, so that was my conversation with Andy Iorio. Make sure you check him out on Spotify. And I have a lot more to come, and this is just part one of this two-part Halloween episode. And I do still have my conversation coming up on this episode with Kate and Mike of Lucid Street, and we're going to hear their brand new single that comes out this weekend. We're going to get to hear it ahead of the release on this episode. But right now, let's listen to some more 518 music that is got that Halloween theme to it. This is Party to Your Grave, and it's Matthew Ryan Lowry here on Unsigned 518's Halloween special.
1, 2, 3, 4. Everyone is at the beach, but I wanna go where my friends all meet. I don't wanna hang around with you, I just wanna sniff some glue. Candy apples and razor blades, I'm gonna drop dead at the rave and party to the grave. Hey, I just wanna misbehave, party to the grave. Hey, some souls just can't be saved. Better have a heart attack, or else I want my money back. I don't wanna wake up anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4. Party to the grave. Hey, I just wanna misbehave. Party to the grave. Hey, some souls just can't be saved, and I feel like tonight is a good night to die. Party to the grave. Hey, I just wanna misbehave. Party to the grave. Hey, some souls just can't be saved. Party to the grave. Hey, I just wanna misbehave. Party to the grave. Hey, some souls just can't be saved, and I feel like tonight is a good night to die. And I feel like tonight is a good night to die.
Hey, it's Maddie from Nerdy by Nature. Come on down to 99 Ferry Street to our new downtown Troy location. Shop some oddities, haunted antiques, 15 small makers and vendors. We're open every day but Monday and Tuesday at 99 Ferry Street. Come on down.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I don't want your bags with pretzels, and I don't want a fucking pencil. I don't want a pencil, I don't want a pencil, I don't want a pencil, I don't want a pencil. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
That was Millington with the Halloween song. Before that, Matthew Ryan Lowry with Party to Your Grave here on Unsigned 518's Halloween episode. Thank you so much for listening and sticking around thus far. We've got a little bit more to go in this episode. Then there's a whole other part too. Like, this is just the first part of the Halloween special. So make sure that you listen to part 2 if you can. You know, I don't want to pressure you, but if you got time in your day, you could listen to both parts. We've got some great music and segments. And in part 2, there'll be a conversation with Maddie of Nerdy by Nature. You just heard him do a promo in between the songs there. Also, we're going to be going to the original Camp Arawak, the filming location of the 1983 slasher classic Sleepaway Camp, which was filmed in Argyle, New York, just a couple miles down the road from my house. And I got permission from the owner to go on location and do a segment there. So we're going to do a little talking. I brought Nick Kosser of Gozer along with me, and then there's also a video component. So you'll be able to, if I get my shit together, I'll upload it over to YouTube, and you'll be able to go over to YouTube and check it out there. So that's coming up on part 2. Also music, a lot of music coming up on part 2, including another premiere. It's a song that actually is available right now, but it came out at the exact second that this podcast dropped. It came out right at the stroke of midnight on Halloween, and it's the latest single from Michael Dillinger. He's the lead singer of Gozer, and he has a solo project out. It's called Revenant, and it'll be the premiere. The song is available now, so you can go stream it everywhere. The song is fucking kick-ass, and I actually, when I was talking to Michael today, when he first sent the song over, he let me know that I am the first person to hear the song in its entirety, and that means you'll be right along, you'll be some of the very first. It's a great fucking song. I expect good things from it. So that's coming up again on part 2. Also, other music as well. I've got some songs from I've got Pine Boys. I've got a Gozer tune in there as well. The Dillinger song, an Adigato song in there as well. So go check that out. Episode 2 is available right now. And now let's go to the Dazzle Den, actually where I am now. But let's rewind a couple days ago when Mike and Kate of Lucid Street came over. They have a new single that's available this weekend, and it's their first studio single. They have a couple of live ones, and they came over to talk to me about that. But also, Kate is really into horror movies, so we talk a little bit about that as well. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with my conversation with Kate and Mike of Lucid Street here on Unsigned 518's Halloween Special.
What's up, everybody? This is writer-director here from upstate New York, Frank Palangi, bringing you guys a new horror film this season called Souls of the Damned. It is my third independent horror movie. You guys can check out that movie on Tubi, as well as the other movies, The Lost Chronicles and The Killer Tales, all streaming for free. So guys, if you can go and check it out, I hope you have a nice and scary Halloween. Check out Palangi Films, and I will see you guys soon.
All right, welcome back. I am here live in person in the Dazzle Den with Kate and Mike of Lucid Street. Hello.
Hello.
So, we want to talk about, you have a new single, and it's the first studio single, because you have a couple of singles that were recorded live.
Yep.
But this is like the first studio one. And I actually, as we're talking now, I haven't even heard it. So when we play it on the show, it'll actually be my first time hearing it too, which is going to be
Yeah.
super cool. But so we do want to talk about that, but because it is a Halloween episode, and we were just talking before we got rolling, not part of the show or anything, but I want to kind of pick up the conversation about horror movies. We were talking a little bit about the psychology, or what did you say you took a
I took philosophy of horror in college. It was like such a fun class.
And the entire class was was it like horror and was it horror movies?
It was all horror movies. Yeah, it was so fun. Like we watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Exorcist, The Shining, Scream 2, Halloween, I'm a horror movie person, so I'd seen almost all of the ones that were assigned. We did Night of the Living Dead. We did like the original Dracula. Like it was just so fun to bounce around and Psycho and see like the older ones and the new ones and the ones that the people who study the philosophy of horror, which I didn't even know was a thing.
I'm a horror guy, and I was like, I didn't even know it was a thing. Like,
there are philosophers who specifically do that, but like the movies that they pick out as being the most influential ones that really use horror itself, because I think some of them are so like jump scary and just
Right.
like focused on that they don't have like the longevity that the ones that I just mentioned have. So like they don't really analyze like the ones that are kind of just like flings, I guess I would say.
and it's interesting too, because like a lot of, like I say I'm like really into horror, and everybody like assumes that just means blood and guts, and that's like really not
No.
the like not it at all, like, because I'm with you too. Like there's some movies that I'm like, it's too fucking gimmicky.
Yeah.
Like I mean some of it, if it's campy, like I love campy shit, but
Yes.
like it has to be done right. But like I don't want to see, I'm not watching a horror movie just to see blood and guts.
No.
And like, but like every movie you mention, I'm like classic,
Yep.
classic, classic, classic. Like
I
all the good
remember
ones.
weird thing like do you have like those memories of being a kid that just kind of like glare out at you? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like random things that just cut through, right? So I remember being like 7 and being home with a bad ear infection right around Halloween, and it was back when we all still had cable and Sci-Fi did the Halloween like movie marathon
Yeah.
things. So my mom was home and she was sick too, and at first we were just watching like Halloween or something. We both fell asleep. I woke up and she was still asleep, and Hostel was on.
Ugh.
And I was like 7, and I like watched it by myself, and it still sticks with me, and it's so funny because like I dealt with that at such a young age, and it didn't bother me. I was just like, wow, that's gruesome. Like, and now I'm like, okay, yeah, the torture stuff really isn't for me.
It breaks my cardinal rule of horror movies,
Yeah.
and that it has to be fun.
Now, you know
And
what?
torture is not fun.
No.
You know what
At
ones are
all.
weird
Yeah.
for me with that though? Terrifier. Like,
I love Terrifier.
yeah, like I thought it was all torture, and I was like,
No.
I can't do it, right? So
It's
I
goofy as shit.
Yeah,
Like,
and I watched. Now the first one I think is more on the torture side. I didn't.
it's a
have,
little meaner.
Yeah, I didn't have as much of an appreciation for the first one as I did the second one. But the first one I just watched little clips of because I was like, I can't get through all this torture
Right,
stuff.
right.
And even though I watched the worst scenes, ironically, but and then I was like, okay, I don't think this franchise is for me. Then the third one came out, everyone's talking about it, so I said, okay, I talked to people. They said, no, the second one's totally different. It has a plot. The acting is supposed to be really campy. It's really funny. And I said, okay. So I watched the second one, and as soon as Sienna came on the screen, I was like, I love her so much.
I've seen like kids dressed as her for like Halloween this year, and I'm like, how the fuck does that kid know who she is? You know,
Yeah.
like you'll see like 8 and 9. Like one of my buddies, his kid is 9, and his classmate is Art the Clown. And
I
I'm
know.
like, how does he even know who Art the Clown
Yeah.
is? You know?
But I was shocked with the second one. Like, the plot was really good. The character building was great.
And it was
like,
fun.
It was
Like,
fun.
you know?
There's one scene that sticks out in your head that every once in a while you think about it and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
And I know you know exactly
yeah.
what scene I'm talking when she's like, Mommy, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
That's the one that killed me. But everything else, I mean, the rest of the movie was amazing.
Yeah, and again, it's fucking gross, but it's
It's
fun,
terrible.
but it's fun.
But
you know?
what's so impressive about it to me is the way that David Howard Thornton can act Art
Right.
the Clown, because he doesn't speak. You know, and he has like the facial expressions, and to be able to do some of the facial expressions he does while doing the complete opposite of like the thing he's doing, you know, it's like he's like cutting someone's head off while like looking so
Yeah.
excited about it, and it's really campy, and I love it.
My favorite was in part 1 when they're in the pizza shop and he does the the little girl the hand and bats his eyes and tilts his head and you're like, oh my god.
I love the glasses when he in
the
Terrifier
flower
2.
glasses.
Yeah. And I saw my cat, his name is Boo, and funny segue actually, because Potential Redemption's about him.
Oh, no way.
But so he's a travel cat is what I call him. He's like a cat dog. He likes to go places and do things, and because that's just, I've had him since he was 3 weeks old, and I found him in Binghamton when I was in school there, so we were like going back and forth all the time, and he's just chill. He's just used to it. So I took him out one day, and I took him out one day, and we went to Spirit Halloween, and they have an art animatronic thing. That moves,
right. Yeah, I've seen those.
And he wasn't scared of it at all. It just moves. It's not one of the ones that jumps or anything. I didn't bring him in front of one of those ones. But he's in his little bag, and I have this video of him, and he's just looking at him, and it's almost, I swear, if I could read his mind, I think he was going, hey, that guy's colored like me. Because he's a tuxedo cat. He's like, what's he wearing?
I like the black and white look. That's nice.
Yeah, he's just looking at him. But then everyone is like, oh, he's so scared. I'm like, trust me, I know my cat. He is not scared at all.
Calvin, whom we just heard make a guest appearance barking his ass off, he's definitely scared. Because I've got, if you see up there, I've got the Michael Myers and the Leatherface and all the masks and shit. And if I put one of those on, he will lose his mind.
Oof.
It's uncomfortable how scared he gets immediately. Even when he sees me put it on.
Poor guy.
No
object permanence.
Yeah, no, Calvin will lose his shit immediately.
He takes it literal.
Yeah.
That means danger. Mask means danger.
Yeah, totally. Then he'd be gone. He'd be gone.
He's not one of the people in the movies that goes, let's go towards the danger. No, run from danger.
He's like fucking real life Scooby-Doo.
Calvin is not the blonde girl, the dumb blonde in the horror movie.
No, Calvin is running away and getting stoned in the van. Is probably more like where he would be at. So, you said that Potential Redemption is about your cat.
Yeah,
it is.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
So, Billy, our keyboardist, we were at Mike's house, and
we just got done with practice too. It was a practice night.
No, you know what I just realized though? I think it was right after our last interview here. Because remember, we went up and played at Bebop's that night. And the videos we were trying to watch were from Bebop's.
I know you were definitely going to a show
and
right from here.
And we were going to Lake George from here.
Or were we there the night before?
No, we were going to Lake George from here.
Because we had a show the night before.
I think Potential Redemption might have been written the day after we were here last time.
No way.
So
it might have been a Sunday night. We wrote that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Because Billy and I went over to your house. And so basically, what happened, we were trying to watch videos from the show that we were going to after the last time we were here and airplaying them to the TV, and they weren't streaming, they weren't airplaying. And Mike said, all right, Potential Redemption, let's try one more time. And Billy and I looked at each other and we said, that's a song title. Let's go to the piano. So we ran downstairs. We start, I said, we need a groovy song. We have a lot of rock stuff. We need something more upbeat, poppy-ish. And that's just kind of the train we went on. Mike came downstairs and Mike was like, oh, you guys got something good. And at first, I knew Potential Redemption was the hook. So I was like, I need words that go with that. And I was just I wrote the chorus. And it wasn't specifically, about a certain thing yet. It was just, things that... Potential redemption, got you coming for me. It was just like that. And then I wrote the verses, and I went, oh, okay, this song's kind of about my cat. So it's funny because everyone, I guess, if they didn't know, would think it's a love song. We recorded our whole album with Nick Relation. Hi, Nick. And Nick said to me when we were going through the mastering, and he was like, yeah, this song's a love song. It's about, and I said, what? And he's like, yeah, Potential Redemption, got you coming for me, you got the capacity to be for me. And I was like, Nick, the song's about my cat. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah. So, I mean, and then it just that's how it became Potential Redemption.
And what made, like, you've released the live stuff,
Yeah.
like, and when you were writing this, were you like, this is the one that we're gonna take our time and do in the studio, or like, what made you decide to have this be the first studio single?
Well, we'd gone over a lot of different options, and we released the 2 live singles. We had ADD and we had Shades of Red.
Which sound great,
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
we kind of had to do those because we had gotten so much press and so much of a push in such a short amount of time that everyone was like, we want a product. And we were like, we don't have the money to record an album yet, so we'll record some live singles and hope it's good enough. So that's what we did. But I think we've always been planning to have, because those 2 songs are going to be on the album too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've always been planning on having an album, but it was like we were having personnel changes and then maybe didn't have the right number of songs yet and all that, to put on an album, needed to write more and do writing in between regular life and playing other shows. So it's just been a long, like, drawn out kind of writing process.
Well, that's what kind of screwed the Putnam session stuff that we did, because we did a dozen songs. We had like 9 or 10 covers that we were going to do as well and release them, and we had them in full. And then we said, okay, we'll do the couple of originals to go with it, and that was the focus. The primary ones that we wanted to take audio were from those. The rest was going to be promo material, and because we needed stuff.
Right.
Because everybody kept saying, where's your trailer? Where's your promo thing?
Right.
Everybody wants an EPK. And you're like, we don't really, like she said, we don't have anything. So the good news was that those 2 songs came out of that. We were working towards getting all those songs done. And, it just ended up that, we kind of picked this one to be the single. And it was from my perspective, it's kind of one of those, it's a balance of everything we do. It was a safe, smart pick for us, because there's a lot of other songs that we would love to release as a single, and that one would be good. Or as Kate says on occasion, like, every week, I like this one.
Really,
I like this one.
every week I'm
I like this one. I like this one.
This one could be a hit. I'm telling you, this one's going to be the hit. And then, like, the next week we'll go and I'll be like, hey, that really, like, laid back one that we're putting at the end of the album? Like, what if we released it as a single? And everyone's like, no. And I'm like, but it could be a hit. Like, so
Right.
I do it with every song on the album.
Right. That's why we, like, concentrating, saying, no, we got maybe 2 singles in us, because timeline is, and this is why it's perfect, is that we'll have this one out on the 2nd. We might have another one out, but the primary focus for us is to get the album out by early
January-ish,
first quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, first couple months of the year.
'Cause-
January would be the perfect habitable zone.
Sure.
But
After the holidays, because you don't want to release during
Right,
the holidays.
that's exactly what we were thinking. And we're really excited. We're opening for Marillion in Montreal.
Oh, wow.
in March.
in
Fucking
March.
international. Going
Yeah.
international.
Yes, we are.
So, and we'll be playing to like a couple thousand people. It's going to be crazy. But we really wanted to have like an album out at that point. You want to be able to sell physical things when you're there.
And all our merch, because we said, okay, we have some merch, which we gave you
Yes,
the new
got
shirt,
I got
New
a shirt.
shirts.
new shirts, but we have album specified merch that we wanted to kind of put out with it, and with the single, we got some stickers with it, and we got a bunch of other stuff, and
So we'll have like a little exclusive merch thing. We're having a single release party the same day the song's coming out, November 2nd. It'll be at Lost and Found from 8 to 12.
in Albany.
In Albany, yeah. And the first 24 people are going to get a free like merch goodie bag. So it's like a Potential Redemption bag and a shirt and a sticker. But it's only like while the supplies last. Like we only have enough for 24 people.
They were handmade.
They were. I
Handmade.
made all of
They
them.
were
And that's
handmade.
this Saturday at Lost
Yes.
and Found.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And there's a bracelet. Our
Nice.
thing that we kind of have been slow. The thing is we've been teasing this album for so long and no one even knows. It's so funny. Like I feel like once it comes out, people like would scroll through our Instagram feed and be like,
oh,
"You've
there's
been
little
telling
hints.
us for
It's-
forever." Like with this, it's so weird. I can't explain how it happens. It's almost like the way like the band got its name, like, because Lucid Street just hit me. Like, I was just walking in the rain, and I was like, Lucid Street's a good name for a band, and that's just how we did it. Like, so I don't know why it seems like this album is, like, oh, you know, like, the street theme, but, like, black and white, graffiti, like, it just kind of seems like the thing. And then, like, the friendship bracelets are popular right now, but, like, doing, like, the friendship bracelets for each of the songs, just, I don't know why that just seemed right to me. And that's kind of like how we're revealing the songs. Like, if you go, now everyone knows, but if you go and look, there's a picture on our Instagram of my arm with 10 bracelets on, and one says Lucid Street. The top one is just turned a little bit, so you see the PO of Potential Redemption, and the others are turned around. And then when we revealed that the song's going to be called Potential Redemption, it was a picture of just that bracelet and the Lucid Street bracelet.
This goes back to your horror talk where, you know, you're watching the movie, is it happening? And then you go back the second time and you go, wait a minute, they've been up to something.
Yeah. The signs were there the whole time.
They didn't tell us.
So I like the friendship bracelet thing, and I also think, just looking at it from, like, a person who's always in, like, marketing mode, right? Like, you give people bracelets, or they buy a bracelet or whatever. It's one of those things that they'll be wearing, so they'll be thinking about it. And, like, if people ask them, then they're talking about it. Like, I almost like the idea better than, like, a sticker, because a sticker, like, you know, it might go on your fridge, or it might go somewhere where someone's not seeing it all the time. But if it's something that you're wearing, then, like, everyone's going to be seeing it.
Right, unless you're Woody the Woodpecker, then your refrigerators are always running. But, you know.
Hey-o. Another good merch idea that I saw someone was talking about, that is car air fresheners.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can order, it just hangs there, and you could literally just have it be like your logo on one side, or like a QR code on the other side, or whatever. Like,
we're big
like
with
that.
the QR code. We put the QR code on.
It's
everything.
on everything. It's on our posters. It's on our stickers. It's on every event thing that we do. I mean,
got them on the back of my business card.
I put them on the business cards as well. You know, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's a nifty idea," and I'm like, I think of this as commonplace.
It just makes sense.
It does make sense.
And nowadays, you know, like, you see, like, there's that new business card company, Dot, and basically there's like nothing on it. Right, you tap it and it takes you to everything there.
So there was, and I can show you when we're done with the episode, but I was at this festival up in Canada called Gussapalooza a couple weeks ago, and there was a company that had, it was like a little CD jewel case with a little CD in it, and you tap that to the phone, and it takes you to their official Spotify playlist.
That's so cool.
And it's like, it's just this little keychain with a CD that looks fucking cool anyway.
That's awesome.
And if you tap your phone on it, they're like, here's our playlist. So, like,
I
cool
want one.
shit like that.
But people like the physical stuff. Like, like, if you can interact with something, whether it's on a phone or the back of something or a cover, or it looks like something like a CD, it's physical,
and
also people like that.
The less people have to type,
right?
What I mean?
Better.
If you're like, oh yeah, just here's the QR code, it's done for you, rather than, hey, my website is www. Like,
right, and I can't tell you how many times, like, I've handed out a business card, or I've had one left, and I'm like, hang on, just scan the QR code and just go with that before I can go refill. So it keeps my business cards, my quantities, nice and high.
Thing too, you said, like, with physical stuff, it made me think, like, physical copies of, like, the single and everything. That is the weirdest thing now, like, with releasing music, the way music is consumed now, because it was like we were just talking, because Queen remixed and mastered their first album with AI, and it sounds amazing. They were able to separate all the tracks and do what they wanted to do with it, and we were listening to it on the way up. And it's like, the way music was mixed and mastered at that point was because people were going to be listening to it on vinyl.
Right.
Then it changed to CDs. Then it changed to streaming. And now vinyl's making a comeback. So, like, that's one weird... And we will have vinyl of our album and of the single. We're taking pre-orders of the single right now. And we will have those up on our website. And we will have those at the show that you can pre-order one of the, like, 45s.
Cool.
And it'll be Yeah, we got the little ones, the singles. And the B-side is going to be one of our songs that we haven't released yet. It's a live version of one of our songs that'll be on the album from this past summer. So that'll be really cool. But
And that's the only way to hear that song.
Yeah,
Right.
only
It will
way to
not be
hear
on the
that.
Spotify one. Yeah.
It will not be on Spotify. Yep. But that's one of the really odd things that we were talking with like Nick, our sound engineer, about is it's like you're almost like mastering your track in like two different ways because it needs to sound a certain way on vinyl, but it needs to sound a certain way for Spotify. So it's like that's one of those behind the scenes things that we're dealing with like as artists that like nobody thinks about. You know what I mean?
I know our producer would listen to it, in the studio speakers. He would listen to it on his phone. He would go out in the car and listen to it. He would listen to it on like some little desktop speakers.
Yep, that's what we did
listen
too.
to it in all these,
Because there's so many formats you can listen to now. I mean, the Bluetooth speakers have come a long way. I mean, like some of the Ultimate Ear Booms, or like they're the top line, and you look at the JBLs and stuff like that. Yeah, they're really nice, but if you're listening to it on that, the good test is there's a lot of high end. You're going to get all the vocals on that. So if you're listening to see how that comes out, you're not going to get the low end frequencies. You're not going to get all the bass response. So if you have your desktop speakers, okay, then you do. So as compared to back in the day, and talking about formats, yeah, where did you listen to music back in the day? It was in your car, at home, and that was basically
And if
it.
it was in your car, you weren't choosing what you were listening to.
Unless
you were
it was an
listening to the
8-track.
radio.
Right, unless
Yeah.
it was 8-track, yeah.
which were fucked up because they would cut off in the middle of the song.
Right,
Yeah.
Rush's
skip
Moving
sides.
Pictures. Camera eye cuts out at 4 minutes in,
Yeah.
and then you had to switch it.
It's like, God damn, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I was dealing with that shit in real. I'm old enough where I was dealing with that shit in real life, in real time. I mean, I was like, 5 or 6 years old, but even then, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I was really into that Steppenwolf tune.
Yeah, no, it's weird though. It really is odd. I mean, it's fun. And honestly, as an artist, it's really refreshing to see vinyl coming back because we were looking the other day when we were, uploading we use CD Baby to publish our work and everything, and we're like, wow, in the year that these singles have been out, we've made $7.06. It's like being able to sell physical copies is just going to be so refreshing because then it's like the money actually goes back to the source.
Right. And plus, even if like vinyl and physical stuff, even if somebody doesn't have the medium to play it, like even if someone's like, I don't have a record player to play it, like it's still a cool thing to have.
And I've had a couple people reach out because they're like, oh, what are you releasing?
Right.
Like my uncle was asking me about it, and he's like, I'll take 2 copies. I'm like, great. I go, but you don't have a turntable. And he
Doesn't
goes,
matter.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like that. I mean, and it's, and you are right. Like I think for the last 2 or 3 years, maybe even longer, vinyl has outsold CDs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a
CD
turntable set up in the living
Right.
room.
And-
I don't have a CD player anywhere in this entire
And if you're a
house.
music connoisseur,
Yeah.
if you're a music connoisseur, like, yeah, you can listen to it in your car, on your phone, on your AirPods, wherever you want music. And that's the great thing is that if you want to listen to somebody, you have the ability to do it anywhere and find anyone you want. So actually, in a way, it's kind of gone back to being like it was in the 70s. If you wanted to go find an artist, you got to go looking or, listen to something 100 times or, hey, similar artists to this, like this. So it's kind of cool because then you can go in and find that artist and then you can attach yourself to what they're selling and it's great. But if you're at home and you just want to listen to music and you like that band and you're into what they're doing, I got a
throw
whole
it on.
album.
Yeah.
There's just
And
something
it's-
about dropping a needle on
There
a record
is.
that
It's
that's
physical,
better.
and,
know,
And
it's better.
it's funny
with your real
because
speakers and it sounds great.
Our audio engineer will be like, yeah, but you hear the needle and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah.
But
like, there's
the
something
imperfections are my imperfections. Like, that's how I know it's my record. You know what I
Right,
mean?
but it's
like, when
not-
I'm listening to the Clash Combat Rock and when it's going on the, he thinks it's not kosher, the third time he says it skips. And, like, it's not bad, but, like,
Yeah.
it's mine. It's my copy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
It's
like,
not
I
only-
love the imperfections.
Yeah, not only that, but there's something like nostalgic in a good way, like almost like Christmas nostalgic of
Right.
like hearing like the sound of the record.
crackle.
Like I enjoy it. Like I enjoy having it in with my music, and it's not just with like old vinyl as well. Like, I've been buying some newer vinyl recently, like Sabrina Carpenter and Chapel Roan, and like I even enjoy listening to theirs on vinyl more than I do on Spotify. It's fun.
It's direct to the source, you know. It's direct contact with everything. And it's not to put away, you know, the ease of, you know, what CDs did, you know, compact disc. You're shrinking everything. I mean, so there is something there to that. And it's the experience factor. Again, back to the physical touch.
Right. Yeah.
People want that because in a digital world, reverting back to being the experience of holding the vinyl up and reading the lyrics there, you're like, oh, it's an experience. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if there's any way to gain fans and stuff like that, or to gain that following, if you don't have a shtick or whatever, at least if you put out a cool product and you can read along with it,
give them that experience.
You give them an experience, and then you go, I wonder if these guys could recreate that live.
Right. And one thing I'm really excited about talking about creating, like, you know, the experience and everything too, is like, I wrote all the lyrics for the album, and each of the songs is very
Not
like,
all the songs.
Yes, I did.
One song is an instrumental.
That's true, but I mean, but what I said is true. All the lyrics on the album I wrote. So I'm planning on doing, and I'll do the first one will come out the Friday, November 1st. But I'm going to do, yes.
as this episode airs.
Yes. So I'm going to do kind of like a little sit-down video type thing for each of the songs. So I'll do it for this one, for what's probably going to be another single, and then for the songs as the album comes out, I'll probably take like a little break, and like I'll do it as the album's coming out, maybe like half before the album, half after the album, maybe something like that. But I'll do little sit-down videos and be like, okay, hi everyone, so let's talk about this song, and let's talk about these lyrics and what it's about and what this is about, and just give like a little background. And I think it'll be fun because I want people to interpret the lyrics to the song as whatever makes it most meaningful to them. But some of the songs also really helped me get through difficult times in my life. And some of them are also, you know, kind of like the calm after the storm and really refreshing. And it's you know, it depends on the song. And I just like the idea of being able to be more like personal with people and share that with them. And it's just like a way to make people like understand it better, I guess.
Because they're gonna form their own relationships and bonds to the songs.
For sure.
If if you're reading along to lyrics, you know, because there is that crowd of people out there that's, you know, want to attach themselves to it because, yeah, sure, our music is very good, you know, but the words, you know, especially for me as a listener, you know, and as a drummer, and I've told you, like, some of my drum parts, you know, I establish some of my fills based on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or based on what Billy's doing on keyboards, or based on certain licks that are in the solos that Nolan is using. So, you know, like you know, I want to be able to feel it, you know, and other people, I'm sure, want to attach themselves to it in some way, shape, and form as well.
I think it's that also, like, as a lyricist, I'm very inspired by Ronnie James Dio and Freddie Mercury and Stevie Nicks and like that kind of vibe, I guess. Definitely Mariah Carey too. Mariah and Whitney, very inspired by the way they write their music, and especially Mariah, Freddie, Ronnie, really big on the metaphors, and Stevie. And I love putting a good metaphor in a song. Like, there are some metaphors that, and I'm assuming this is the way Ronnie would be with some of his too, that I'm like, I don't even really know what that means.
You just
but
did it.
It just
You know what it
sounds
feels
so
like.
cool,
Yeah.
and I know, like, yeah, you know what it feels like, and it's more like there's one that I'm anticipating in one of our songs because we haven't released that title yet. One of my favorite lines I've ever written is, there are diamonds in the flowers just like teardrops in the rain, and I don't know what the fuck that means, but it goes perfectly with like the vibe of the song. And I don't know why, if I had to pick one line of one of our songs that I'm like the most proud of, it might be that one.
And you get, curious, just let the listeners, and that's the cool thing as an artist, you do it for you, but you're always curious, what is somebody going to say? What is somebody going to do with this? Curious. Besides the point of, are they going to like it or hate it? But when you attach yourself to it, what's going to be the response? Did they like the drumming? Did they like the guitar playing? Or what line from that song was their favorite? Or why did they choose this way to do that?
That's all that goes through my head right now with Potential Redemption coming out. Oh my God. I texted Mike the other day. I said, Mike, do you think everyone's going to like it?
I hope people are going to like it.
I hope we picked the right one. Because that's the thing is it's yeah, if we wanted to release all of the songs on the album as a single over however long amount of time, we totally could. But you only get your first single, your first studio single and your first real, mark on the original scene once. You only get your first album once and you only get your first single once. And I'm just sitting here going, yeah, there are other songs that would be great singles on this album, but I just hope we picked the right one to be the first one. And I hope everyone really likes it because I really like it.
and we all and back to what, your original question with it, we all unanimously kind of said, no, that is the one. We had other ones in mind. We all kind of knew, and it's the perfect crossover because it's technical enough, but not too technical. It's poppy enough, but not too poppy. It's catchy, and it's right to the point, and it's, below 4 minutes.
Right.
Perfect structure for listening. You could play it on the radio, you can play it live, and it basically is there. It's got hooks, it's got all sorts of hidden things that you can go back and listen to a second, third, fourth time. And on first listen, you can go, oh, it's catchy. So there are multiple layers, whereas some of the other songs are going to be like, oh, that sounds good.
We like to say for Potential Redemption that it's if Aretha Franklin and Elton John wrote a song together. And if we were doing it live, that still stands. But then after I did the vocals in the studio, you got an element of the Muses from Hercules for the backup vocals. So it's the Muses from Hercules sang on a song with Aretha Franklin, Elton John, and yes.
Yeah, I want to hear it. I think we should hear the song.
Yeah,
We gotta get back to the spooky shit too. It's but so. Is there anything? So it comes out. It's everywhere.
November 2nd.
Today is Halloween.
Yep.
So today's the 3rd. So it comes
Saturday.
out the day after tomorrow. It comes out
Yes.
Saturday.
Yep.
So is it a midnight release?
Yep.
Yeah,
it'll be
be,
midnight.
right?
Yep, it'll be midnight. And then, like I said before, Lost and Found release party.
And that's on Saturday as well.
On Saturday the 2nd. And from 8 to 12, so the first hour is going to be 8 to 9. That'll be a listening party, hang out with us, first 24 people getting their merch bag, and then those under 21 can stay until 10 p.m., and then there's a Albany Law School ID promotion. If you have your ID with you, you can get the White Claw promotion, and we will be doing merch giveaways and raffles and stuff throughout the night. So
awesome.
We'll have a bunch of merch with us and everything. It'll be super, super fun. And you can place your pre-orders for the physical single at the show as well.
Hell yeah. So that's this Saturday. The single comes out tomorrow at midnight. So, Kate, Mike, I want to thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us,
for having
Andy.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. And we're going to get back to the Halloween episode. And right now, for the first time, let's hear Lucid Street's Potential Redemption.
Why you always bugging me? Gotta
That is Lucid Street with their first studio single, Potential Redemption, and you heard it first here on Unsigned 518's Halloween special. And that is it for part one. Part two is available right now, so you can just continue the fucking party over on part two. And I've got a lot of cool stuff, more music, more segments. And we're going to top it off with my visit to the original filming location of the 1983 slasher classic Sleepaway Camp, which I did with my good buddy Nick Kosser of the band Gozer. So that's all coming up on part two, which is available right now. Actually, probably in your stream, if you don't do anything, if you just let shit play, it'll just roll right into episode 2. So check out episode 2 of my Halloween episode, and I'll see you there in a couple seconds. So I'm Andy Scullin. This is Unsigned 518.
And I'll see you on the road.
Unsigned 518 is produced and hosted by me, Andy Scullin. New episodes are available every week wherever you stream podcasts. If you would like to help support the show, please like and subscribe wherever you are listening. Or you could buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/unsigned518. If you would like to advertise on the show, send me an email at unsigned518@gmail.com. And to be a guest on the show, reach out to me through Instagram at unsigned518. Take care of one another, and I'll see you next week.